Did you know that parents rank financial literacy as the #1 most difficult life skill to teach? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app for families. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn to earn, save, and spend wisely, and parents can rest easy knowing their kids are learning about money with guardrails in place. Try Greenlight risk-free today at greenlight.com/audio.
Over the past 75 years, more than 10,000 chemicals have entered our food supply, but the EU allows just 300 additives. At Thrive Market, we prioritize quality, banning over 1,000 ingredients found in conventional grocery stores. Our Healthy Swap scanner helps you find better versions of your pantry essentials without the junk, dyes, or fillers, and everything is delivered right to your doorstep. So shop at a grocery store that actually cares about your health at thrivemarket.com/get started for 30% off your first order and a free $60 gift.
This message comes from Greenlight. Ready to start talking to your kids about financial literacy? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app that teaches kids and teens how to earn, save, spend wisely, and invest with your guardrails in place. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Join millions of parents and kids building healthy financial habits together on Greenlight. Get started risk-free at greenlight.com/audio.
The cats in Springfield, they're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
People of Springfield, please don't eat my cats. Why would you do that? Eat something else. People of Springfield, please don't eat my dog. Here's a catalog of other things to eat.
They're eating the dogs.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
They're eating the cats.
Meow, 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 meow.
They're eating the pets of the people that live there. They're eating the dogs.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
They're eating the cats.
Meow, 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 meow.
They're eating the pets of the people that live there. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
They're eating the cats.
Meow, 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 meow.
They're eating the pets of the people that live there. They're eating the dogs.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
They're eating the cats.
Meow, 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 meow.
They're eating the pets of the people that live there. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. Boy, I screwed up there. I had the intro playing, but we weren't live yet. I kind of screwed up the timing. It's a little tricky thing with the timing at the beginning. I got to edit some stuff. But welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. You could find me at Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting. If you email me at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com. Now, if you like our show, be sure to check out our Patreon, Opperman Report Patreon. As a matter of fact, if you go there, I got all the P. Diddy stuff. I got the indictments, and I got that Jonathan Odie video. That's really good stuff, guys. You got to check that out. This guy, Jonathan Odie, in 2018, he went and shot up the Doral Golf Course, the Trump Doral Golf Course. And then he gets shot himself, okay? But he's like such a monster, this guy. He's ripped physically, and he's wearing like a hospital gown. He's bullet holes in him, okay? And he's sitting there being interviewed by the U.S. Secret Service, and he lays out, 2018, he lays out everything that was in the Cassie lawsuit, and he lays out everything that was laid out in this indictment, just came out this week, So you got and a lot of other crazy stuff he's talking about too. I'm going to spend more time talking about that later. So, but that's in the Patreon right now for free. That's in the free section of Patreon. Forget that. Plus, a lot of great content too in Patreon. You can find there. Everything you find Monday to Friday in AM/FM radio, you can find over there at Patreon, the Opperman Report Patreon. Now, the archives are free. You go to Spreaker.com and do a live show every Friday night at 8 p.m. for now. Come January 1st, they're going to discontinue this live option. So I still don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe through Patreon. I don't know what I'm going to do. I have no idea what I'm going to do. If I'm even alive by then, who knows? But for now, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, there's a live show every Friday night, solo show where I just talk, and then with 2 hours of brand new content every Friday night. Now, I know a lot of people have trouble figuring out which day of the week is Friday. So you have 7 fingers or 7 digits, right? You can count to 5 on one hand and 2 on the other hand. Or you can take a sock off and use toes for the last 2 toes, or even 5 toes on one foot and 2 toes on the other foot. And that's how you know it's Friday night when the live content comes out and when, what do you call it? The live content comes out and the brand new shows come out on Friday night. Let's stop here. Before I get started, I want to give a little shout out, a birthday shout out to Eliana. Eliana Nicole Preston. She's big birthday coming up, 4 years old. When I saw a picture of this little girl, I figured she was 5 or 6 or 7 or something like that because she's so big and beautiful and she's so smart. She loves Barbies and candy, going swimming, and she likes YouTube. And this is going to be on YouTube. She can watch it there. Like all my fans on YouTube. I got so many wonderful people that love me on YouTube. I got another one, Eliana Nicole Preston. And it's her birthday coming up. So happy birthday, Nicole. Eliana Nicole. Ellie, they call her. So thank you so much. Happy birthday. And I got to tell you, her mom and her grandma, they're such nice people. They're the nicest people I've met since I moved to Florida. That's without a doubt. I can tell you that for a fact. Now, her birthday's coming up, and her mom has a lot of kids. And I wish I had that many kids, too, man. Her mom has a lot of kids, though. And so they had a little GoFundMe that they put together to help a little girl celebrate at Disney World. So you go there to GoFundMe and check that out. I'll have the link on my Facebook and my Twitter, I promise you, in the Opperman Report Facebook and the Ed Opperman Facebook. And it's Help a Little Girl Celebrate at Disney World, and you'll see the name there, Eliana Nicole Preston. 4 years old. Happy birthday. A great mom there and dad and family. They're a beautiful family, this Eliana Nicole Preston. Happy birthday. Tonight, coming up, we have 2 shows coming up tonight after the live segment. And Patrick Berge is back. Okay, Patrick Berge, who, I love this guy, man. And we don't agree on a lot of politics and stuff like that, but we get along fine. He's a cool guy. He was with Bikers for Trump, you know. He testified, he was he was behind the scenes watching the coup attempt there, right? He spills a lot of stuff again. We got a lot of stuff out of this guy again. And but one thing, he blew my mind, and I almost missed it because I've been really sick this week. There were 2 nights this week. I didn't sleep all night long. I couldn't lie down and breathe. I couldn't breathe if I lied down. I had to try to sleep sitting up in a chair. But I'm feeling a lot better. But the night before I did that interview was the night I'd been up all night, and I had just taken a nap right before I did the interview. I woke up right before it, and so I was a little fuzzy. And he tells me this story about Taylor Swift. See, the thing with Patrick Berge is when he went and enlisted in the Army at like 39 years old, some crazy thing like that, he went to work for this intelligence operation involving social media manipulation and a computer program where they would data mine information about people and determine if they would be loyal employees for the U.S. government. And they're using this for all different kinds of things now. It's kind of like Cambridge Analytica, if you know what that is. And he just lays out. He goes, hey, Taylor Swift, he goes, hey, Taylor Swift, she got her start from Toby Keith. And Toby Keith, if you didn't know this, he just died recently. He was a real right-wing guy, and he was friends with General Flynn. As a matter of fact, he gave General Flynn, in General Flynn's office, he had 2 of Toby Keith's guitars. That's how close they were. And Toby Keith got his start in country music by the guy that Patrick Berge worked for in that intelligence operation. Okay? Now, when Berge spills this to me, at first I totally missed the significance. But then I was, oh, wait a minute, repeat that, Pat. Yeah. And it came out with that stuff. So that's a really good episode. Then we have this episode with these two comedians coming up. They had this incredible story. I was a guest on their show, and they were so kind to me. I said, you know what, man, we talked about this project they're working on here. Let me see. I think it's JT. There it is. JT Kelly and Sam Castillo. And it's called the Bad News Podcast. And they pretty much do the same stuff we do here. And they're stand-up comedians, but they're not as funny as me. So I don't know, you know that. And so the story about this FBI agent who's supposed to be in Austin on some kind of training mission, and he walks into a nightclub and shoots himself. And people have tried to get the FOIA records on this and the police reports, and there's really it's a mystery of what's going on there. Like these mystery symptoms in Arizona. So that's coming up. That'll be in the second hour. The first hour will be Patrick Berge. Okay, and that's the brand new content for you this week. Okay. Let's see. Go back to the notes. Because I've got so many notes tonight. Although I tell you, I regret not retiring last week after they're eating the cats. And they're eating the dogs. And they're eating the pets of the people that live there. How can you... You know, when you got to do an hour of live radio every week, plus the interviews, and someone drops something like that into your lap, God, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. I should have quit while I was ahead, but I'm back. I come back for more torture. So let's see. There's so much. 10 minutes in. Okay. Breaking news, P. Diddy announces he's going to run for president in a bid to stay out of federal prison. I wonder where he got that idea from, right? But anyway, we had this whole thing with Mr. Diddy. Diddy or Didny? That's what I want to know. Diddy. I think he did. Okay. This guy goes back a long time. Remember that show when he had that show? Because, I knew about Diddy. My first exposure to him. In fact, my first exposure to him, I saw him at an airport with J-Lo. Okay, when I was back doing my stuff, flying back and forth to Arizona and back. And he was wearing a kind of an ill-fitting suit that was a little too big for him. And J-Lo was a little chubby, I'll be honest with you, okay? But I saw them, they were standing right there. They didn't have a big security entourage around them or anything. So that was my first exposure to him. Then the second time he came into my orbit was when I heard that when he shot that pregnant woman in the hand, because my friend was the EMS driver in that ambulance, okay? Not the driver. He was one of the techs taking care of the injured woman who was screaming at the top of her lung, "Puffy shot me in the hand. I'm pregnant. Puffy shot me in the hand. Puffy shot me." And the guy told me that what they were doing was they put their fingers in their ears and they went, "I can't hear you. I can't hear you." And Puffy was sitting there on the curb with J-Lo and one of his drivers and bodyguards. And he was yelling out, "I'll give you 50,000. I'll give you 75,000. I'll give you 100,000 to take the beef for him, And the driver did ultimately take the rap for him of the possession of the gun. Otherwise, everything just miraculously just disappeared and went away. And Mr. Diddy Love, Daddy Puffy, went on his own merry way to do whatever he wants. It's my second exposure to him. My third personal exposure to Mr. Diddy was a friend of mine, was a cop in New York City, and he had gotten a security cop off-duty job through Keith Schiller, who is Trump's head of security. Now, back then, at the time, he may not have been involved directly with Trump. Keith Schiller used to work for Fisher House, the Fisher Foundation, Fisher House. Fisher's this rich guy. And when he had this fetish of when his friends had a funeral, he would hire 1,000 cops to show up in uniform and play the bagpipes and a parade of, motorcycles, all kind of stuff, And it was Keith Schiller who would broker those cops. And Schiller was so powerful with these cops that when me and my partner tried to start our little background employment employment screening company in Colorado. It wasn't even in New York. We were starting this company. He was so jealous and so pissed off. He said, anybody who works for these two guys, you're not going to work for me again. Like we were some kind of challenge to him. It had nothing to do with what he's doing, okay? Then he hired me on another job and never paid me, okay? So that's where I left off with him. Okay. Wasn't a lot of money. I didn't really chase him down, but, Anyway, my buddy was doing a security job, and it was a P. Diddy event. And the job went through Keith Schiller, Trump's head of security, who later on became Trump's White House man. Now, you're not going to see that in the news anywhere, okay? You're not going to find that in the news anywhere. It may come out, ultimately. Like everything else I talk about, it comes out 5-6 years later. Everything else I tell you about, I haven't been wrong once, man, I don't think. Fine, if I have been, come back and correct me. So anyway, what did we have this week? Mr. Diddy got no bail. He offered to put up $50 million and had a letter of intent to sell his plane. And the judge says, no way. And one of the reasons why no way is you're at risk to the public because you're threatening and you're intimidating witnesses. Okay? And there's even some kind of speculation right now about that Aliyah plane crash. Remember that? When the plane was overloaded and the plane crashed? Easy to pull something like that off. Okay? Because there's this Odie guy talks about how they were in private planes flying back and forth drugs. And the guy, he doesn't name him, but the guy who got arrested, with one of Diddy's staff people got arrested for that, for delivering drugs back and forth in private planes for Diddy. But so he must have flipped on Diddy too. Odie's definitely flipped on Diddy. Odie's the guy at the Doral golf course that shot up the joint, shot a cop, I think, in there too. And the video is kind of funny, the surveillance video of him, because he's sliding around in this slippery form. Then he puts up a big, I think he put up either a Trump flag or an American flag. I got to watch that thing again because I haven't watched it in a while. But it's up there on Patreon for free. You can find it there for free. Along with the song, We're Eating the Dogs, We're Eating the Cats. I put that up there tonight too. Anyway. So Odie spills the beans and all this stuff. Then I looked into Odie. It's very clear. After he said in his divorce paperwork that he had no money. Right after the divorce, he's running out and he's buying all these properties. Okay? So he got a big settlement, a big cash settlement. I speculate that's from Diddy. There's no disposition to his case. He has an open case since 2018 where he's on video shooting cops. I'll say that again. In 2018, on video, he shoots a bunch of cops. He's on confession on video. And the case is open. Now, he pled not guilty. And there was, if you look up the case, there's a whole bunch of subpoenas out there for witnesses, like 100 people, which is very unusual, especially in a case like this where you're on video shooting a cop. What do you need 100 witnesses for that, boy? So, he's using leverage of information that he has. He talks about some other stuff in there, too, about the Illuminati and all kind of stuff. That I think he gets from the internet. But he was one of these sex workers that Diddy would hire to go in and have sex with these girls that were drugged, and then Diddy would watch and bop it a boop, and do whatever he wants. Okay, so this is the thing, man. Okay, and anyway, by the way, he's saying this in 2018 before anybody was saying this, before the Cassie lawsuit, before the indictment, before anything. Okay, so what do we have this week? Mr. Diddy, he hires this lawyer, Mark Agnifilo. I don't know how to pronounce it because I've only seen it written down. I've looked the man up. He's a very, very prestigious attorney. He worked on that Nexum thing for Keith Raniere. He worked with Harvey Weinstein and some other big RICO-type cases. Only problem is he's lost a lot of those big cases. I think Raniere got 120 years. And Diddy here does not have a chance, okay? Even he could give up the Pope. He could give up a video of the Pope screwing the highest, the Rebbe, Lubavitch Rebbe, okay? Both of them bedoodling each other and still not get out of this because he's got those firearm charges, the face and the fully automatic firearms, man. He has 3 fully automatic firearms that are unregistered, and he defaced the serial numbers off of them. That's a mandatory minimum of 27 years, okay? And I think they could give him 27 years for each one. He's got a good lawyer to negotiate that down, but okay, 27 years, okay, to start. The federal prison is not like the state prison, okay, or the county. The federal court, it's not like the state court, okay. It's a whole it's a 97% conviction rate, first of all. And then there's no good time. You know, you do like 80, 90% of your time, man. You know, there's no good time and stuff like that. And, you know, it's an uphill battle to beat the feds. All right. Now, so they deny his bail, saying, Mr. Diddy, we're denying your bail, even though you're offering us $50 million, because you're a risk to the public. You're a danger to the public. Because, you know, when we've got you here, there's allegations of you arsoning people's cars and stuff like that, and pulling guns on people. You're going to intimidate witnesses, you know. So they lose the hearing, the bail hearing. Mr. Agnafilo appeals that hearing the very next day. So what happens? Live on TV, you see Diddy's son, who's got his own lawsuit for doing the exact same stuff, you know, which makes you think, you know, the father's a rapist, now the son's a rapist too, you know, when does that start, you know, like encourage your son to rape women, you know, or maybe there was some activity between them, you know, because you hear all this stuff about Puffy being gay, Clive Lewis and Clive Davis and all this kind of, you hear these things, you know, all over the place. People have been talking about that stuff for a long, long time. Other people, you know, other pop stars that are the names of, they're, you know, so distraught now they're not in the face of the public. Maybe they're cooperating. You ever think of that? Maybe that's where they're not out in the public right now. Okay. So anyway, the bail is denied because he's a risk to the public. He's a danger to the witnesses. And what does his son do? He shows up to court with 12 goons, 12 huge bouncer type guys. Okay. I would call them thugs, but the thing is, thugs has become such a racist term. You know, if they were white guys, I'd call them thugs. These were Italian guys, I'd say these are thugs. You know, that's what they are. But you know, every black guy, unarmed black guy, you know, gets shot by the cops right away. These people in the media start calling them thug. You know, that's a racist term now. It's become. So I'm not going to call these guys thugs, but they are goons, and they are bouncer types. They look like dangerous guys. You know, and they're not even dressed for court. One of these guys is wearing a football jersey. What the hell are you doing, man? I had some. Everybody knows, okay. When I was around 25 years old, I had my first case. My first case was a Class E felony battery. Okay, because I broke a guy's jaw. My girlfriend's ex-husband was being abusive to his own kids. He was being abusive to my girlfriend, and he was being rude to me, you know. And so I waited till one night, and we got him alone, and I broke his jaw, and I broke my hand on his jaw, okay? Because I had already had a broken hand, but I didn't want to fight this guy anyway. And I broke my hand on his jaw. I had to go back to the hospital and have my hand reset. And then I think I told the story, too, that while we were working on this case, I went down to the hospital and I pretended I was him, and I got copies of his x-rays. Because back in those days, there was no HIPAA, no Privacy Act. You could pull off kind of stuff like that. I walk into my lawyer's office with the x-rays, and we're looking at the light. What are we looking at? We don't know. Okay. But when I would go to court, here I got a battery case, right? Because, you know, it's a fight. So when I would go to court, I wouldn't bring 10 thugs with me. Wait, why don't I say thugs? I wouldn't bring 10 my guys with me, you know? And I had guys. I had guys way bigger than his guys. When I went to court on my case, I would comb my hair to the side, you know, and like slick down, you know, like a nerd. You know, short haircut. And then I got glasses that were fake glasses. Eyeglasses that I would wear. Okay, I think I was wearing contacts. No, I probably didn't even need contacts, but I had fake eyeglasses, like Clark Kent like eyeglasses. I was tempted to put a little piece of tape, you know, around it, like to be a real nerd. So I had the hair, I had the glasses, And then I would wear a suit and tie, of course. You do it every time I'm court appearance, except the next morning when you showed up with your rabbit. But suit and tie, and then I wore a trench coat over that, and I brought an umbrella with me. In case I was like a British gentleman in court. And even when my lawyer first saw me, he laughed when he saw me, But that's what you do, man, in real life. But these guys are in such a bubble. They're so in their own world where they're so used to bullying people around. They think it's going to work on the federal court system to walk in there with 12 guys. They're a beef. Not going to happen, my friends. A big bad mistake. Now, there's another thing out there going on. Because, I got to tell you, man, there's so many experts out there. I love turning on Twitter and reading the experts. Legendary experts. People send me emails and say, Ed, what about the legendary expert on the Epstein case? Well, why don't you have them on your show? Because they're full of shit. That's why, okay? So some of these legendary experts are pontificating. Because Diddy's being held at MDC in Brooklyn, that it's the same jail where they held Jeffrey Epstein. So Diddy's going to be suicided, just like Jeffrey Epstein was suicided at the MDC. But the only problem with that is MDC is in Brooklyn. Epstein was held at the MCC in Manhattan. Now, these are both federal jails, the pretrial detention centers. Okay. Both of them. Okay. Now, both have the exact. I've been to both. Okay. I was not as an inmate, I was there working as a private investigator on big organized crime cases. Okay, that were held in federal jail before federal court. And the conditions at that time, back in like 1980 or 81, 1980, 81. The conditions back in those days were horrendous. They didn't even have air conditioning in the housing where the inmates were housed. In the conference room where they would come meet with the attorneys and the investigators, we had air conditioning. We could sneak in food. As a matter of fact, I'll be allowed to bring them clothes for court. Okay. And we would sneak in. One of the things we would do is in the tie boxes, right? Like a $200 tie. And in the tie boxes, we would put salami in there so they could eat salami. They try salami. All that got messed up. We couldn't do it anymore because of John Gotti was bringing in turkey dinners, man. This guy really ruined it for everybody. But back in those days, you could bring in contraband into the conference room, and everybody's winking, looking the other way. You can get away with it. But by the way, then they're walking into court. Their tie smells like salami. This is what really goes on in real life with this kind of stuff. But anyway, so both of these jails are very, very corrupt. The conditions are horrible, but they're different jails in different boroughs. They're not the same jail. Okay, and by the way, too, I was thinking about this because, Lev Parnas, who's been on this show. As a matter of fact, tonight they're having a behind-the-scenes launch party because he's got a new show, I think on MSNBC, or it's a new podcast or something, but it's produced by Rachel Maddow. Now, Lev Parnas was buddies with Rudy Giuliani, and he's the one who arranged a perfect phone call with Ukraine, with Zelensky and Trump, and he was involved in a lot of stuff, because he was right drinking buddies there with Giuliani. He was held, I believe, at MCC in Manhattan. Yes, it was, because it was the same one as Epstein. And he told me, because when I started interviewing Lev, the stuff he was saying wasn't good for the Democrats and it wasn't good for Republicans. Okay? He was an outlier, like my show is. And I would say to him, Lev, you got nowhere to go. Come on my show. Let you say whatever you want. He goes, yeah, you're right, man. So he would come on here, man. We got along great. Then the last time I was supposed to have him on, I was sick. I couldn't do it. But he was nice about it. He says, oh, don't worry. I hope you feel better. And then I never rescheduled with him because I'm a little embarrassed. Plus, I wanted to buy his book first because he knows all about the Venezuelan coup, too. But he told me on my show, right, we got to make a clip of this and make a TikTok out of it. If there's anybody out there ambitious wants to help me out, about when they were holding him there in disciplinary confinement, okay, or segregated custody, segregated custody. It wasn't disciplinary custody. It was segregated custody. A lot of people call it the whole or solitary. They got different lingo for it in every state. And in New York, it's segregated custody. So you're in this cell by yourself. And one day, a note is slipped under his door. And who is it from? It's from Rudy Giuliani. He says, Lev, don't worry. You got friends out there that are looking out for you and taking care of you. So, now that's a two-way street. That tells Lev, who's sitting there, and they're telling him, hey, Lev, hire Bob Costello, who's Rudy's bag man. Lev, hire Bob Costello. He's going to take care of you. Don't worry. When you hire a lawyer for a guy, you say, hey, okay, you're going to represent him. Make sure he doesn't rat me out. Okay, that's how that works. Okay, if you don't know how that works. I did that myself, and that's how I stayed out of trouble most of my life. But I don't last that. Okay, but anyway. But what do you call it? But that's a double signal. That's telling Lev, hey, Lev, I can break the rules at MCC. And I can get to you if I want to. This little note could easily be anthrax, or it could be fentanyl, or it could be rat poison, Mr. Parnas. Keep that in mind. And very interesting that who died in that prison, in that jail, was Jeffrey Epstein. And who could get to people in that jail? Rudy Giuliani. And his crew of guys. And by the way, too, remember Stephen Hoffenberg? Stephen Hoffenberg, who was the president of Tower Financial, Jeffrey Epstein's partner, was on this show 15 times at least. Okay, plus all the hours we talked off the air and emailed back and forth. Sometimes I'd be annoyed with him. I'd give a to have him back now. God bless him, rest in peace. But he came on this show and he told me about when he was running Tower Financial, the Ponzi scheme with Jeffrey Epstein, that Rudy Giuliani was the corporate counsel for that company, paid $1 million a year. You're not going to find that in the news anywhere either. You're not going to find a link for that, guys, but you can listen to my show and hear it from the guy who signed the check. If that's not good enough for you, of course it's not. Oh, you gotta take it with a grain of salt, you know. Yeah. By the way, too, another thing. So anyways, that's MDCMC. I see this stuff on Twitter. Jeffrey Epstein, Diddy's in the same jail as Epstein. Oh my God, these people have no clue what they're talking about. By the way, Jennifer Lopez, Ben Affleck. Okay, one story out there, you know, because I'm involved in the criminal defense world, I'm involved in the politics world, but I'm also involved in the entertainment world too, gossip and stuff. Okay, it's scandal. Okay, for people who don't know me, I was involved with everybody with the Stormy Daniels deal, all that kind of stuff. Tiger Woods, all that stuff, man. Charlie Sheen, everything. In fact, Ashton Kutcher, by the way, was buddies with P. Diddy. And I did the cell phone forensics to catch Ashton Kutcher cheating against Demi Moore. And I can show you the screenshot from the phone call from the girl from Ashton Kutcher to her phone. Okay. And they said, oh, no, it never happened. We got it right there. I got a full report on her phone. The guys, you know, and he made her erase that call. We recovered the deleted text messages, the deleted phone call message, the deleted phone message. Phone log, it was called. Okay. Now, so the story is out there as far as, you know, my sources in that area is that Ben Affleck was shown a video of J-Lo at one of these P. Diddy parties, and that's what prompted him to file for divorce recently, because that came after the raid too, remember? Although it seems that they've been having trouble for a long time. Okay. Packed show, huh? Eh? Was I kidding you when I told you I had a lot of info for you? Wasn't kidding you. Okay. That may be everything on Diddy. And I think he did it. Okay, what do we want to hit next? Ooh. Okay, I'm going to hit this one next. Mark Robinson running for governor in North Carolina. You got to love this guy, right? So it comes out, CNN does an investigation into this guy, and it turns out they uncover his activity on these dating sites. They're called dating sites, but they're really extreme fetish perversion sites, okay? Nude Africa, you know what I mean? And he's on there talking about he likes golden showers, and he's sleeping with his wife's sister and other women, and he's like a black Nazi, and his slavery was good. He would like to own some slaves. He's saying some really extreme stuff, really, really extreme stuff. Now, keep in mind, who's Ed Opperman? Ed Opperman invented the online infidelity investigation, okay, where I could trace an email back to online dating websites. Now, this Nude Africa site wasn't on my list of sites that I would check. And by the way, I've pretty much gotten away from all that. I don't do that stuff anymore for many, many reasons. Now, I'm looking for lawsuits right now is what I want to do. Okay, if you've got a sexual battery case from a school or a church or a institution, a prison or something like that, those are the cases we want. So Mark Robinson barely denies. He says, this salacious stuff, and they're accusing me of, but the stuff goes back to 2008 before he was ever dreamed of being in politics. Okay, so it's not like you can't go back and dummy that up and fake that. Now, I checked right before this website is like shut down now. I checked it out, and if you go there and sign up, they send you a verification. They send you a verification notice back to your email, and you have to verify. You have to click that thing. Now, back in 2008, I would say it was about 50-50 whether it was or not that they had that. Now, by the way, too, when I went into this show tonight, I was on the impression that he was also on Ashley Madison. Now, Ashley Madison, I could tell you for 100% fact. Okay, me and Ashley Madison were at war. Okay, because they were trying to say that their site was 100% secure and no one could catch you on their site. But I could catch people on their site, and I did it all the time. So what they started doing was they started hiring me under like fake accounts and fake names and stuff like that, fake credit cards, and ordering the service on me. And I'd go back, and then I would go in, I'd get in, and send them the results, okay? And they would take down the ads saying that they were 100% secure, okay? Then they would go back and they would change some stuff. And then I would go in and I said, oh, no, I can't get in anymore. Then it would change, and I would go back and get back, and they would put the ad back up. And I would go back in and get back in the second way, and then they would go back and say, oh, no, we're not 100% secure there. So I was at war with them. So my understanding as of time of the airing of the show is that Richard Robinson was also on Ashley Madison. And if he was, I could tell you at that time, they would definitely confirmed your email. But now I'm not 100% sure that he was on that site. I only know about him being on these black African, nude African websites, whatever they're called. Oh, my God. Let's see. Oh, God, there's so much here. Oh, I forgot about P. Diddy. There's one more thing about P. Diddy. Because remember back when he was on that TV show Making the Band, right? And I remember one of the guys, and I like their shows. And he was on the show Making the Band, and he had one house with all male rappers and another house with all female rappers. And when there was an episode, like the first episode, when they're showing them the apartments where they're going to be staying, and he goes, "No, man, you gotta trick these houses out, man, with flat screen TVs and give them all this stuff." And every rapper has flat screen TVs. Now back then they were $5,000-$6,000. Then it came out in the gossip columns back then that when the show ended, somebody on Diddy's crew went in there and stole all the TVs and the computer and the filming equipment, robbed the joints, and burglarized the places. And they were saying it had to be Diddy's guys. You go back and look for that now. It's all gone, okay? Now, people are telling me, hey, Ed, use the Internet Archive, use the Wayback Machine. That's not what I'm talking about. I've been involved in high-profile lawsuits and litigation, negotiations, where on the day of negotiation, I'm not there. They don't let me sit there and negotiate with there when they're doing that, okay? But I'm sitting home, feverishly trying to figure out, how much we're going to get today. Okay. And you'll see during the negotiation, they're removing stuff because when you send the intent to sue and you leak it to the gossip columns and it goes on the Wikipedia page, and then on the day of negotiation, you see it, the whole lawsuit just disappeared from Wikipedia. The lawsuit disappeared from Variety. Okay? People like at Variety and Radar Online, they're in on these negotiations too. And they're removing this stuff at the request of the attorneys and the people involved that are negotiating this deal. That's how this stuff works. So Diddy had some kind of PR firm that was powerful enough to get all this stuff removed, just like Ashton Kutcher had a PR firm powerful enough to get us to back off. And even though we had the evidence to say, nothing happened. Because when Ashton Kutcher, when he got caught with the next girl, then Demi Moore admitted, yeah, he's a cheater. Then suddenly everyone believes that one. Okay? Now, Kutcher, too, man, the guy's got a lot of stuff, man, a lot of shady stuff in his background. All this business about him developing the software to help traffic kids, that's a meme. That is crap. This is a guy that was a business partner with a restaurant group that was run by a guy that was involved with rape and sexual harassment, all kind of stuff. Okay, that's pretty much scrubbed, too. All right. I tell you what, don't lose your temper. Calm down. All right, real quick. Let's hit you with some bullet points. You may have seen some news about how in Arizona, they discovered 90,000 illegal aliens registered to vote. Okay? Well, here's the real story about that. That's like clickbait. When you know what's really going on, and then you try to argue with people. Nobody cares. Between 1994 and 2006, the DMV in Arizona did not have the option. You did not have to be they didn't require proof that you were a resident, a citizen, in order to check off that box and register to vote. And between that time, there were 90,000 voter registrations. We have no idea how many of them were or any kind of immigrants or illegal aliens whatsoever. We have no idea how many of those 90,000 are citizens or how many are illegal aliens. But we do know, statistically, how many illegals there are compared to citizens in the state of Arizona. So we can use that formula. So right away, there aren't 50% illegals or 40% illegals or even 20%. Even in a state like Arizona, that's right by the border, maybe 25% are illegal or 20% are illegal. Okay? So out of that 90,000 right away, we're talking about only 20% of that. Now, out of them, how many of them bother to vote? Well, only 40, 50% of people vote anyway. So it's even knocked that down another notch, right? Now, guess what? The Republicans are pushing us all over the place that there's 90,000 illegal aliens that are going to vote Democrat in Arizona. And we've got to stop them. But guess who doesn't want to stop them? The Arizona GOP. Because they know most of those people are Republican. Because they're mostly in Republican districts. So it's so crazy. It's so crazy what goes on in the meme world and the Twitter world and the TikTok world and what really goes on in these offices, okay, of these political campaigns around the country. It's night and day. And I got to say, there's something to Alex Jones. This thing came out. The people who attended the rally in Tucson right before the whole cat thing blew up, that 20 people that were on the stage with Trump got mysterious symptoms that caused some of them to go to the hospital. Okay. Now, I was sick this week. I know what my symptoms are. I know what my symptoms are. How can a symptom be mysterious? They're talking about burning skin. Now they're talking about their eyes were burning. Alex Jones says it was infrared lasers, right? All this kind of nonsense, right, that they're saying. But how could you not know what the symptoms are, right? So I think it's hysteria. But otherwise, that's not making a lot of traction either. But they're calling it the fourth assassination attempt against Mr. Trump. And speaking of assassination attempts, we didn't even get a chance to talk about that one. What's that guy's name? Ruth? Where do I get that in my notes? Oh, yeah, Ruth. What the hell? Like, guys, the most mysterious thing about this guy, or the most interesting about him that's not being reported whatsoever, is that he was involved in some kind of project. He was in Afghanistan, and he was recruiting disillusioned fighters in Afghanistan to go to Ukraine and fight in Ukraine against Russia. How come that? Why is that not the top story about this guy? Is anybody talking about that? It was all over his Twitter page. I saw it myself with my own eyes. So that seems to me to be the most suspicious thing about him. Okay? 44 minutes. We're doing good on time. Okay. I should have got some melatonin or something like that to help me go to sleep tonight. I think I'm going to be a little wired tonight. Another thing that happened in the past couple of weeks I haven't been able to address is Andrew Tate was raided like a second time. And they've got all kinds of crazy serious charges about him right now, including anally raping a 15-year-old. He started raping this girl anally when she was 15 years old, and another one who's 17 years old. And it's not just, first of all, in the first set of cases, I think there's like 40 victims at this point. Yeah, 42 victims they got in Romania alone. And everyone's talking about this girl from the U.S. who flew over there and her boyfriend called, blah, 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 all that crazy story. They also have psychological reports of all the victims in that small case. Now, this time, they got wiretaps, okay, of him talking to his brother, telling his brother to impregnate these girls and get them pregnant. There's chats directly off their device. There's audio messages. There's witnesses. There's photographic evidence. There's closed-circuit TV, financial records. Tate's own video courses, which I've talked about before, where he taught the exploitation. There's reports of violence and photos of the violence, medical reports, threats of violence, blackmail, and endless examples of coercion and exploitation. The whole Andrew Tate thing is totally underreported. But I got to tell you something. This was one of my questions for Bergie. I didn't get a chance to ask him. Is because the whole Andrew Tate skyrocketing to fame and power on TikTok and Instagram and Reels and all that kind of stuff, it's that same kind of Cambridge Analytica media manipulation. The same thing we saw with Johnny Depp. When Johnny Depp had his case, and then suddenly there were thousands of TikToks about Johnny Depp and strutting into court, and look how stupid the other lawyer is, and look at how Johnny Depp's lawyer won again. Another stupid question. Look how he dressed it. Thousands of TikToks and Reels. Johnny, how come they're not now? How come everybody's not obsessed with Johnny Depp now and what he's doing? Only during his trial? That was a PR campaign that had access to this kind of data, man. That's. And it seems like Taylor Swift too, I guess now. Right? How did she skyrocket to fame? What's her talent? I know people love her. I know, but I don't piss off the Swifties. That's the last thing I want to. I love Taylor Swift. I am the original Swiftie. I'm the biggest Swiftie in town. My daughter's a Swiftie. Oh, how about another thing here too? What about these Israeli pagers going off? Now, you guys know I've had a lot of people on the show that are CIA and intelligence and State Department and, and all that. Even some of them obviously are, and they don't come out and say it. So I start nosing around about this thing. If you don't know what happened, because it's really not that publicized. You got to really be a news junkie to follow this stuff. Is that Israel somehow, Hamas and Hezbollah it was, right? I think they're over in Syria. Hezbollah. They started telling their people in their organization, stop using smartphones because the Israelis can track us with these smartphones. So can the Americans, which is true. Start using beepers and radios. Now, somehow, the Mossad got into the supply chain of the manufacture of these beepers and put explosives in them that they could trigger, by sending a page to the patient. So they had the numbers, right? and they were able to access these devices and then put them back into the supply chain and know who was using them. Because the first round of bombings, and by the way, they killed 40 people, they injured 3,000 people. Over in the Middle East right now, you're not allowed to bring a pager or a radio onto a plane. And now these guys aren't even using laptops. It's got to be in the laptops too, right? Maybe there's one in my laptop right now. Maybe there's one in my phone right now. Maybe there's one in your phone right now. And I talk to people I know, in these circles, and I says, we don't have that capability to do that in the United States. We don't have that capability to intercept the supply chain and get devices to specific people. Not that I know of, So this is a whole new era of terror. State-sponsored terror by the state of Israel. And bad enough there's genocide. Now they're targeting innocent people. They just bombed a school the other day. Hey. Should have quit last week. Oh, one of my chat room people says she loves Taylor Swift too. I love Taylor Swift. I love Taylor Swift. Actually, I don't know what she's doing. I don't know anything about Taylor Swift. I know a couple of her songs. Never, 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 get back together. Hey, okay. Here's your tape. Here's another thing that make the news. It came out that the Trump campaign was hacked. And the hack appears to be from Iran. And Iran has offered their hacked material to news outlets in the United States, and no one's published it. Now, friends of mine have said, hey, man, give it to me and I'll publish it. I just reached out to some people at, what's that, Press TV that I know? And I says, hey, can you get a hold of the stuff and send it? He says, we don't, what are you talking about? We don't know anything about that, Ed. Okay. So, but now they're saying that because they gave them because Iran tried to give the material over to the Harris campaign, that it's the same thing as Russian interference. But the difference in this case is that we know that people like Roger Stone were running around trying to buy that Russian hack into the DNC and Podesta's computer. Right? We've seen it. Even Roger Stone did a whole thing with this dossier thing, and tried to give his version of the story, and he made it look like an investigative dossier with all kind of graphics on it and stuff, and a big top secret stamp on it, So it's not the same thing, because it's not like we find out the Harris campaign was reaching out to the Iranians trying to get that information, like Ed Hoffman just did, admitted it to thousands of people. That's a different story, but until then, we don't know. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. Good, we're doing good. Okay, now a couple of things here, man. Oh, Matt Gaetz, damn. No, I don't have the copies of the paperwork yet, man, and it's kind of pissing me off because there's guys I know who have it. Come on, guys, give me a call, please. Return my messages. I think what do you call it? Not offended, kind of ostracized some people, I run this Gaetz situation, maybe being a little too pushy about things. But there's guys out there who I know have this newly filed Gaetz court docs where they describe the party where he was at with this 17-year-old. Now, I've heard about this story many, many times with this lobbyist. I don't have it written down in front of me. I dropped the ball on this one. I apologize. I didn't even know. This would have been one of my top things. I'll do it next week. Or maybe I'll do a show midweek about this whole Matt Gaetz thing. New paperwork came out. His buddy lobbyist got into a beef with his attorneys. He didn't pay his attorney fees. There's litigation back and forth. And they're describing this party with this 17-year-old, okay? That for a fact we know that because Joel Greenberg says, hey, man, Gaetz hired me to pick up this 17-year-old, who was a high school junior, by the way, not even a senior in high school, a high school junior. And at this party, she was completely naked, being fed drugs at this party. Now, I had thought these parties was like a party with 30 people, when a couple of teenagers slipped through and they were in the corner drinking. This was like 5 people, 4 people at this party with a naked 17-year-old child, giving her alcohol, giving her drugs. How this guy is not under the jail by now, okay? Just because his dad got $400 million, man, is a mystery to me. It's mysterious. It's not even as mysterious as the mysterious symptoms over there in Arizona. Which brings me to Madeline Soto, that little girl here, a little 13-year-old girl here in Florida. I did a show about that. When the story first came up, she went missing. She didn't make it to school. She was with her mother's boyfriend, was supposed to take her to school. Some new surveillance, some new interrogation videos came out. You could find them on YouTube. The first one came out by this god-awful, annoying woman who was interrupting the damn interrogation with her commentary. And most of her commentary was like, oh, wow. Well, that's a lie. We know that's a lie. This interrupting this, I had to keep trying to skip ahead. Finally, I found a couple of them that are totally uninterrupted. But the mother of this little girl, okay, allowed this little girl to go upstairs because she says the day before she went missing, she forgot to take her medication. And when she was at work, she was all confused and she couldn't smile. She was distracted. So she told them the next day, I need to have a good night's sleep, because all 3 of them slept in the same king-size bed. The 13-year-old girl, this incredible loser of a boyfriend that is like a big giant baby, unemployed. His parents take care of him. He's buying video games all day and Pokemon cards and all this nonsense. At one point in the video, he's got his shirt off because they're taking pictures of him, in the interrogation room there for evidence. This guy's not even a handsome guy. He's a flabby, pathetic, male boob guy, She's letting her little kid, 13 years old, sleep with this guy upstairs in a bed alone. When the girl goes missing, the cops get his phone. They recover photographs, even though she knew that he reset the phone before he sent it to the cops. They show her a picture of this guy molesting her little girl. After she sees that, she says, you need to get a lawyer. My daughter's missing. I saw a picture of you raping my kid. You better get a lawyer. That's her response to that. So disgusting, so outrageous. This guy is, what the hell do people see in this guy? This loser, man. Somehow, my algorithm. Yeah, she sent. Yeah. Oh, you've been following Madeline Soto too? Yeah, that poor girl. Yeah, right? Oh, what a horrible, horrible, horrible. And somehow I got on this YouTube algorithm of these interrogations of parents who killed their little toddlers and 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds. That's what comes up now in my feed. Very, very stressful and distressing. One last thing, I got to tell you, if you can look this up, because it's not in the news hardly anywhere, but a lot of people saw this thing. There was a real UFO over Tampa, Florida. It was a big triangle, translucent UFO in the sky, and there's another thing flying over toward it, too, and flying around it. It's not CGI, 100% not CGI, because people saw this, okay? People saw this in real life. And then you can find the videos on YouTube. It's on videos or online. If you look up Tampa UFO, it just happened this week. Check it out. It's pretty intense, man. Anyway, boys and girls, we're out of time. If you can help me out with Reels and TikToks, I got a lot of content, man. I'd love to put up there a lot of stuff about Diddy, a lot of stuff about Taylor Swift, a lot of stuff like that. Not about Swift. We'll bury that. The Opperman Report Integrity will bow to the Swifties. Okay, it's the one time you'll get me to conceal. Like 2 days ago, the UFO was 2 days ago. All right, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, dudes and dudettes. Coming up after this will be Patrick Berge. The guy's always gold, man. He's always got great content. If you can help out with a donation this week, that would be great. If you can help out retweeting, sharing the shows. We're getting into the holiday season where every share counts 10 times more than it does during the year. This is our bread and butter this year. Also, too, I was contacted by iHeart Spreaker individually. And I said, Ed, if you got any big guests coming up that we can promote to our advertisers, we could tell them, hey, Ed's got a big guest. It's going to have a lot of traction, a lot of hits. We can get you live read ads on that show, okay, which is, good money. So if you can think of a really, really good guest, man, because right now I'm going to be putting some work into reaching out to, like Lev Parnas, man. I reached out to him. He's about to be on MSNBC, That would be a huge guest, but I think now he doesn't need me, so I don't think he's... We're still chatting, but he hasn't committed to coming on, although he's kind of gives me a smiley face and things like that. I don't know what to tell you. I got his number if I really want to bug him. Anyway, so if you can find me a real good guest this week, man, guys, really big guest. Think big, and I'll put the pressure on him. Normally, I don't, if a guest is a diva, I say, hey, screw you. I'm willing to put up with a diva guest at this point. All right, guys, I love you so much. I really do, man. Thank you so much. And Ileana, I know you're not listening at this point of the show. I hope. Okay, after all the things I've been talking about. But happy birthday to the little girl there, man. And go to the GoFundMe, man, for this kid. They're really good people. They're really, really good people. They've helped me out so much here in Florida. And the GoFundMe is called Help a Little Girl Celebrate at Disney World. And her name is Ileana Nicole Preston. Hey, God bless you guys. Good night.
You get a shiver in the dark, it's raining in the park in meantime. South of the river you stop and you hold everything. The band's blowing Dixie, double 4 time. You feel alright when you hear the music playing. Well, you step inside, but you don't see too many faces. Coming in out of the rain to hear the jazz roll down. A competition in other places. But the horns are blowing that sound. Way on down south. Way on down south London town. Check out Guitar George. He knows all the chords. When it's strictly rhythm, he doesn't want to make her cry or sing. They said an old guitar is all he can't afford when he gets up under the lights to play his thing. And Harry doesn't mind if he doesn't make the scene. He's got a daytime job, he's doing alright. He can play the honky-tonk like anything, saving it up for Friday night with the Sultans, with the Sultans of Swing. Crowd of young boys, they're fooling around in the corner, drunk and dressed in their best brown baggies and their platform soles. They don't give a damn about any trumpet playing band. It ain't what they call rock and roll. They are the Sultans. They are the Sultans who play Creole. steps right up to the microphone. It says last just as the time bell rings. Say goodnight, and now it's time to go home. And makes it last with one more thing. We are the Sultans. We are the Sultans of Swing.